We're about to finish the third parak. So with the Mishnah, we're learning Lilei Nishmas Bracha B'Rav Yehuda. Says the Mishnah, Zov. So we saw before that Zov is someone that has a discharge for several days, 7 days or 8 days. Zov Shara Keri. And this guy is a Zov. He's got, some say it's some type of disease, maybe gonorrhea, I think we said. There's other, I can't remember what they said. But Zov Shara Keri, he sees a Keri. He sees a unintentional or intentional discharge. The Nida, or a woman who's a Nida, she's Tomei Nida, she's seen blood and a normal period. And the Shepolta Shechvazer, but his zera comes out from her. She's spitting out the zera. So l'chayr, what happens is that she had tashmish with the husband before she became a nida. Now she becomes a nida, and it comes out up to 3 days later. Let's take a look in Rashi. We'll see that. And someone that's mishamesh, she uses the bed. She's with her husband. Shiras a nida, then she becomes a nida. Tzrichin tvila. All these women and men need to go to the mikvah. They got to take the dip. For Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yehuda says, Pata, you don't have to go to the mikvah. What are we talking about? Let's take a look in Rashi. I think it's very important here. Zov Shara Kari. So Rashi says, Afa pi shetame tumas shiva b'shem ziva. Even though hey mohar, she's already tomei. He's already tomei 7 days. He's a Zov. Once you see 3 days or whatever it is, you're a Zov. So he's a Zov. And he's anyway Tomei. Ve'ein tvila zum metarasa. And if this guy goes to the mikvah, he's still a Zov. So he's a Zov, then he sees a Keri. Does he have to go to the mikvah? He's still going to be Zov after he dips in the mikvah. So Rashi says, Afilo hachi, say the Chachamim, Tzarich, Tvila, Divrei Torah, even he's still going to be Tomei afterwards. He's still impure because of Zov. He has to go to the mikveh to learn Torah. Kitak on the Ezra Mishum Keri. Ezra is Masaka Mishum Keri. You have to go to the mikveh. Even though the mikveh is not going to make you pure anymore because you've anyway got Zov, you're going to have to wait 7 days. Go to the mikveh for the Keri though. V'chein nida im bal ispalal yitches. And Rashi says the nida. What are we talking about? She wants to learn Torah? No, she wants the Davishman Esra, and the implication is that she has to go to the mikvah for Keri also to do Shemon Esra, to pray. Shepolta Shechvazera, Rashi says, Hari hi kabal Keri. So Rashi is explaining that a woman who's Polta Shechvazera, when the seed comes out of her, it's just like the seed comes out of a man. It's both going to give her Tumas Keri. And let's keep going in Rashi. The Ashkechon B'Sinai that we saw in Har Sinai. How do we know this? Because in Har Sinai they had to distance themselves from the wives. It's in the pasuk. Shloishes yom al tiksha leisha. For 3 days, stay away from your wife. Wife for 3 days. He could stay away from his wife. He could be distanced from her the day before. Go to the mikveh. He's fine. But for her, she's going to become Keri. If the zera is going to come out within 3 days, she becomes tumah. Why only 3 days? So Rashi explains. If the zera comes out from her, it's only metama for 3 days. Why? Because after 3 days, after 3 days, the zera can no longer impregnate her. It gets ruined after 3 days. After 3 days, his seed cannot impregnate her. And LP ChatGPT, that's the norm. 3 days is how long the zera can still impregnate her. Some say it could within 5 days. It's physically possible, but definitely the norm is up to 3 days. After 3 days, normally it's no longer potent. It's no longer alive. So within 3 days, she's tamei if it comes out. After 3 days, it might come out after 3 days, but it's no longer going to be mitamei. Let's take a look at why Rabbi Yehuda Paiter. It says Rashi, Rabbi Yehuda Paiter. It's a big machlekes Rishonim. Why does Rabbi Yehuda say she doesn't have to go to the mikvah? He doesn't have to go to the mikvah. Rashi says, the Havamina now is, since he's Zov or she's Zov before the Keri, the Zov is much more strict than the carry. It's a much higher level of tumah, the tumah's carry. It's a tumah that he's tumah for 7 days. But someone that's tumah's nida or tumah's zav, they're not forbidden for learning Torah. Only someone that's carry is forbidden for learning Torah. Because we're in the Perkid. So Sulay Asir tumah's carry the kila of Asrullah. Since he's already got a stricter tumah and he's allowed to learn Torah, the more lenient tumah is not going to stop him from learning Torah. That's the idea, according to Rabbi Yehuda. So why is he potter from going to the mikvah? Because he's allowed to learn Torah. Why is he allowed to learn Torah? Because if he's anyway got tumas zav or tumas nida, which is much muchamor, and he's allowed to learn Torah, so the lighter tumah now is not going to create the issa of learning Torah. That's the first mahalach. So in other words, the reason why Rabbi Yehuda is paita, some explain Rashi to mean, why does Yehuda say potter? Because the mikvah is not matar you, and therefore you're allowed to learn Torah anyway. You're anyway tomei. It's not matar you. The mikvah is not matar you. You're still tomei. So you can learn Torah. Others say it is matar you from the tumas carry, but since you're anyway tomei of tumas ziva, and she's going to have to go to the mikvah afterwards after 7 days, so it's like a late richur. They didn't make this woman or man go twice to the mikvah. Yeah, anyway, Tomei, you're going to have to go to the mikvah in a few days. So leave it at that. They didn't ask you to learn Torah. If you're going to have to go to the mikvah, they didn't make you go twice. You Tomei go once. So in the meantime, you can learn Torah. That's the other shot over here. So take a look at the gemorah. It says the gemorah, Iboilu, Balkari Shara Ziva. So this guy is a Balkari, and then he becomes a Ziva, Rabbi Yehuda Mao. So our mission spoke about where he's first Zav, he's first got the Tumah Chamura, and then he becomes Tumah Kal, he gets the light Tumah. What if it's the other way around? First he's a Balkari, he's got the light Tumah, and then he becomes Tumah Chamura. What's Rabbi Yehuda going to say? Keep Potter Rabbi Yehuda. When did Rabbi Yehuda say Potter from going to the mikvah? Hasan Bezav Shah carried the mikvah lav batfilu. That's because he was first a Zav. And then he became Kari. He was never roy to go to the mikvah. There was no time where the mikvah would have purified him. Avu Balkari Shraziva. But if this Balkari, then he becomes a Zav. So when he's a Kari, he should have gone to the mikvah straight away. The Mikara Batfilu, he should have gone to the mikvah. He could have gone to the mikvah. Mechayev. So that guy is Mechayev to go to the mikvah according to Rabbi Yehuda. Does Rabbi Yehuda say no difference? Either way, right now he's got Tumas Kari and Tumas Nidol Zav. So, and the mikvah is not going to do anything, so he's potter. So, what's Rabbi Yehuda? How does Rabbi Yehuda hold? Does Rabbi Yehuda only say you potter from the mikvah if you first had the tumah chamura, or even if you first had the lighter tumah? The Gemara says, Toshma. Let's learn that from here. If a woman is mishamash, she's with her husband, and then she becomes a nida, she has to go for the carry. So here we're talking about a case where she wasn't polta. Zer didn't come out of her, but the actual act of bia, being with her husband, is enough to give her tumas carry. So she's with her husband. Then the next day she sees nida, she becomes a nida. She needs a tefillah. For Rabbi Yehuda paiter, Rabbi Yehuda says you potter in that case, because there also the carry is before the nida. V'ameshameshes v'rasa nida kabal carry shraziva dami. So says the Gemara, if she's mishameshes and then she becomes a nida, that's like a carry shras ziva. It's like she's first a carry and then she becomes a nida, or then she becomes a ziva. That's what it's like. So here she was first chayiv tefillah because of the carry, because of the bia. Now she becomes a ziva or she becomes a nida. It's the same thing. Might have come in if she becomes a ziva, she becomes a nida. Either way, she's first chayiv mikvah because of the carry, and now because of the tumah chamura. V'kar potter Rabbi Yehuda shmamina, and you see the Rabbi Yehuda in that case says you're potter. So it doesn't matter which one came first. Rabbi Yehuda will say you're potter. You never have to go to the mikvah. Rabbi Chia learned this behedja beferish that what balkari shira ziva. If he's first a balkari, then he becomes a ziva tzarch tvila. Rabbi Yehuda paiter. So Rabbi Chia learned this out, taught this ferish, or said there's a brisa mufurish that if even according to Rabbi Yehuda, it doesn't matter which way around it comes, it's always going to be potter. Hadron alach mi shemeisai. Okay, that's the end of the third parak. The fourth parak, quick hakdama, is all about tefillah, all about prayer. When you pray, till when, from when. What happens if you forgot to daven? Do you daven again? Tfilas hashachar. Let's see the mission. Tfilas hashachar ad chatzais. When can you daven shachris? Says till chatzais. Rabbanon, few. You got to chatzais midday. For the sake of this course here with the sugya, let's assume that sunrise is at 6, sunset is at 6, and chatzais is 12. Right, middle of the day. Middle of the day chatzais. Now, even though it rarely ever happens because we change the clocks right when that's supposed to happen, I don't know why, but that's like okay. Now we're going to see it's a big machlekes. Do we look at hours as in, you take a 12-hour day and you say, how many hours of the day are they? Split it into 12. So in the summer, there's 18 hours in a day. So each hour is like an hour and a half. Your 12 hours is like, each one is 90 minutes. Or it's a little bit less, whatever, 75 minutes. And in the winter, the day's only 9 hours, so each hour is only 45 minutes. But in the end of the day, we're going to talk about hours as in, you split the day, how many hours of the day, you split that into 12. The Zayah argues, and the Zayah seems to be saying that this day is always 12 fixed hours, and that's how you have to learn this gemorah. Creates a lot of problems. We're going to see. So says the Mishnah. Tfilas hashachar chatzais. Shachris is till midday, 12 in the afternoon. That's morning. The morning prayers. When do you start? Chatzais. They want to know why. Achronim ask, why don't we start here with Ma'ariv? Like you started with Krishma, you start with Ma'ariv. Why are you starting here with Shachris? What's the difference? They give a bunch of reasons, but basically either because it's Kabbonos, we're going to see, and Kabbonos, it says you first bring the morning carbon and then the evening carbon. It starts with the day, or we're learning from the Avos. And who was first Misakin Shach? Which tefillah was first Misakin? Shachris. That's why you start with Shachris, not with Ma'ariv, because Avram taken Shachris. So, Tfilas hashachar chatzais. Rabbi Yehuda Omer ad arba shos. You only have till 4 hours. And the Gemara is going to discuss whether it's the end of the 4th hour, the beginning of the 4th hour. But Pashas is you've got 4 full hours. So in our case, you've got till 10 in the morning to daven shachris. 6 to 7 to 8 to 9 to 10, right? You've got till 10 o'clock to daven shachris. 10 o'clock it's all over for Rabbi Yehuda. And sorry to tell you, that's how we paskin. You got till Rabbi Yehuda's time ad arba shos. We're not giving a law here, but it's interesting to know. The Gemara says that. Arba chatzais. No, the Gemara says before we passing like Rabbi Yehuda, you got till 4 hours of the day. You got till 10 a.m. And you can't even say Torahs like they say with Krishma. The Chassidim I think say that you got Krishma is till when the Malachim wake up. And who's the Melech? The Rebbe is the Melech. Here it's got nothing to do with the Melech. Here it's to do with the Kabbanos. When the Kabbanos were till Arba shos. It's got nothing to do with the king. This is a totally separate sugya. Shachris is keneged. Well, we'll see. It's a machlekes. It's a very big machlekes. If you eat a b'di'evet till chatzais, let's see. We'll keep going. Hopefully, we'll get there. Ad arba shos. Tfilas hamincha. When can you daven mincha? Another machlekes. Ad ha'erev till the evening. Rabbi Yehuda Omer ad plaga mincha. We're going to do a little bit of a dive into what that means. Ad ha'erev ad mincha. Tfilas ha'erev. Ma'ariv ein lo kvar. Ma'ariv doesn't have a fixed time. They ask, why does it say Ma'ariv kol halayla? What do you mean ein lo kvar? What is lashon ein lo kvar? There's no fixed time. They want to say maybe because Ma'ariv is a rishus, so ein lo kvar. It wasn't fixed. V'yesh v'shal musaf, and tfilas musaf, which we daven on Shabbos, Yom Tov, when kol hayom. You've got the whole day to say musaf. And Rabbi Yehuda Omer ad zayin shos. Musaf you've got 7 hours to say musaf. So what does the Erev mean? There's a couple of questions here before you see the Gemorah. First question is why does the Gemorah say when it starts? It says when you got till. We'll see the Gemorah, right? The Gemorah maybe indirectly discusses it, but the Mishnah should say you've got from Alais, from Nates, till when? It doesn't say from when. And B'Pashas, I think the most basic answer is that because the Zman, well, first of all, it's a machlekes from when. Mikra then you should be done from Nates. But b'di'evad you yaitze from Alais hashachar, from an hour or whatever it is before Nates, think it's 72 minutes before Nates. But Pashas, you've got halais 75 minutes is halais. From then you can be the other to say, Rabbi Rucham says you can only start davening from Mishiyakir. It's a mashmais, the gemorah that we saw. It's a machlokes. He was talking about tefillins from Mishiyakir or tefillah. Rabbi Rucham seems to be saying you've got from Mishiyakir. But you're supposed to only daven from halais, from Nates. But the Eved, you're traveling. You can't daven from halais. In the old days, it was very hard to wait till Nates. Nates was already a long time in the day. People went to work earlier. So, but the Eved, you could daven from halais, you yotza. What does it mean, minchas ada erev? You got till the erev. Take a look in Rashi. What does Rashi say ada erev means? Rashi says ada erev. First Rashi, ad chashecha, till it's dark. And the Rishonim explain that means till tseis kachavim, till night mamash. Ad tseis, where mincha time is till night, according to chachamim. And here we paskin like chacham, not like Rabbi Yehuda. Well, it's a machlekes, and you can do whatever you want. The gemorah says, but the minig item is you got till ha'erev. So what's other erev? Shulchan Aruch says other erev. You could have a mincha till Laila, till Tzeisek HaChavim. There's pitch black outside till Motzei Shabbos. When's Motzei Shabbos? Till then you could have a mincha. I know you're saying what? We don't have until Shkia, right? What's going on? We don't have until Shkia. Big chiddush because it says other erev. So it's actually a machlekes Rishonim. Does erev mean Rebbeinu Yaina? The Rashba says that the erev means evening, night, and that's the mashmos of Rashi chashecha. Some say it means till it starts becoming evening. And that's the mashmos till the erev starts, till shkia, kasha. One of the rayas, one way or the other. So the Talmud Rebbeinu Yaina say, I bring you a raya. The erev means shkia. What is raya? From Kabbanis. The ikar korban is rikas adam, is sprinkling the blood on the mizbeach. Now, a footnote, hakdoma. There's two korbanos they brought every day, and that's why we daven. Tomish Shachris and Tomish Ben Abayim. The first carbon every day, that's where we bring Shachris, is connected that carbon, and Tomish Ben Abayim is connected Mincha. And after you sacrifice the Tomish Ben Abayim, you weren't allowed to bring any other carbonos. That was the last carbon you bought. Tomish Ben Abayim. The second carbon. And therefore, when did they bring the Tomish Ben Abayim? That's when you could have a Mincha. So according to Rebbeinu Yaina, the main part of the carbon is sprinkling the blood. And sprinkling of the dam of the carbon, they shechted, they sprinkled the blood, and then they burnt it on the mizbeach. So the sprinkling of the blood, the gemorah says, had to happen before Shkia. You had to sprinkle before Shkia. And therefore, says Rebbeinu Yaina, ad erev means till Shkia. Because that's when the Tomish Ben Abayim happened, till Shkia. That's what he says. Other Rishonim say, the Achronim say, nah, that doesn't make sense. The gemorah says other erev. Erev means night. So what do you do with the sprinkling of the blood thing by the carbon? You're right, they sprinkle the blood on the carbon by Shkia, but the akrava, they burnt it on the mizbeach the whole night, till night. So you could have a mincha till night. Others say, guess what? The only reason why you sprinkled till Shkia was exered darabanan. They shouldn't eat, they shouldn't burn the carbon when it's asa at night. So they said, the hachaka you have to sprinkle by Shkia, right? But Mekra din, and there's no reason to be geyser with tefillah, the same gezeres, and with tefillah you could daven even later. Those are a couple of the main mahalchim over here. Shulchan Aruch Ramah say, when you daven mincha, what's his man? Say sekachavim. Daven mincha. Mefurish Shulchan Aruch, Mefurish Ramah. You got till tzeis. Of course, the Mishnah Berurah says you should be machmer and daven before shkia. One kasha, the ik kasha, the Maram Shik asks is, how can you daven till say sekachavim? We know there's 15 minutes, roughly, beinish mashas before tzeis. It's Spanish Rosh means Suffolk Yom, Suffolk Laila. We don't know if it's day or night. So how can you daven mincha then? Why? If you don't know if it's day, you don't know if it's night. Why should you daven mincha then? So Maram Shik says, Muzzain, you have to say, the Chazal weren't misaken. The Chazal said you could daven when it's Benish Mashas. It's all Darabonan. There's Mantfil is Darabonan. And they said when it's Suffolk Yom, Suffolk Laila, you could daven. You have to say such a thing, otherwise it should say it till Benish Mashas. It doesn't say till Benish Mashas, it says till Erev. And therefore you could daven Benish Mashas, you're allowed to daven. So it turns out there's a massive machlekes. Ignore the whole Rebbeinu Tam thing whether there's two shkias an hour apart. L'chayra, Shulchan Aruch must say, Shulchan Aruch is assuming there's two shkias, and let's say the first shkia is at 6 o'clock, second shkia is 7 o'clock, and you got Beinish Mash till 7:15, Ma'ariv is 7:15, right? So according to Shulchan Aruch, you can have mincha till 7:15. According to Mishnah Berurah, says you should be makpid like the Gra and some other shitas, Achronim, that you should have mincha till shkia, till 6 o'clock.
Let's be clear, when we say you can daven, that means you can start it until then. You can go, you can over.
Machlekes, if you have to finish by tseis, or if it's enough to start, but Pashas you should finish. We saw Taisa says, but with the kolim, how could Bilam curse Klal Yisrael in 1 second? So Taisa says if he started in that second, then he carry on afterwards. The Zman is mamshich. So according to Taisa, and this is how place can say that as long as you start before the Zman, you're good. You can carry on after the Zman. That's the mashmais of the Paiskim. As long as you start before, but definitely you should try and finish before. That's the mashmais. That's the pashas. You should try and finish before the Zman. Okay, let's carry on in the Gemara. So it says the Gemara, Verminu. We have a contradiction. It says mitzvasa iman neitzachama. The mitzvah of Shachris is to daven with neitzachama. Why? Kadesh yismaich geula letfilah. That you finish saying Gal Yisrael and then straight away you daven Shachris. In other words, we know when the Zman of Shema is, the Zman of Shema is before Nates. So you should finish in Krishma and daven. Shachris, the Zman is right then, Nates. V'nimtza mispal b'yoyim, and now you're praying in the day after Nates. So, Kitanya ilevasikin. This that you should daven by Nates, that's only levasikin, the people who are makbid, the machmirim. Rashi says, vasikin makdimim mitzvahs mechazim, people who are running to mitzvahs, they daven ali. But everyone else, they're not davening vasikin, they're davening adar b'shais, you've got no problem, right? Now the kasha is, you tell him you've got 3-4 hours or till chatzais, then we say before that you've got till Nates. You got Nates? No, so Nates that's the mahadrin, that's the mahadrin and the mahadrin. You want to daven by Nates, go ahead and do it. But everyone else is davening till 10 a.m., right? So ask the Gemara. Kitani v'sikin the Amr of Yechon. Sorry, v'sikin ha'yigoyim lo'esim v'neitzachama v'kula amal chatzais v'sulai. Yechon says everyone, the v'sikin finished by Nates, but everyone else till chatzais. The sulai, what? You can't daven after chatzais? Why can't you daven after chatzais? Well, Amar Rav Mari Bareder of Huna, Bareder of Yirmiyah Barav, Amar of Yechanan. This whole long slew of Amoraim in the name of Yechanan. What's the din? Ta. You made a mistake. You forgot. V'lo yispalal arvis. You didn't daven Ma'ariv. What should you do? Yispal Shachris time. Daven twice Shachris. Shachris, you didn't daven Shachris. Yispal Mincha time. Daven Mincha twice. Kula Alma. So that's the kasha. The kasha is you told me you got to chatzais to daven, but we have this meme in the name of Yechanan that if you didn't daven Shachris, so why do you only have to chatzais? Why did Chacham say you've only got to chatzais? That's not true. You could daven Mincha twice. Rabbi Yechanan says. You hear the kasha? You could daven Mincha twice. So you already know the answer. That's why it's not a kasha to you. So the Gemara answers. Kula alma matzivaz la chatzais. Sorry. Kula alma matzivazi. Ad chatzais yalei schat tefillah. Till chatzais you get schat tefillah bizmano. If you daven to chatzais, you get the schar of davening on time. Mekan ve'elach, if you daven mincha twice, schar tefillah yavle. You get reward for davening. Schar tefillah bezmano la yavinale. You do not get schar for davening on time. You blew the time. In other words, you can't daven after chatzais. If you miss shachris, daven twice. But guess what? You don't get schar for davening on time. There's separate schar for davening on time and for davening. So the question is, we passing like Rabbi Yehuda, you have till 4 hours. Can you daven till chatzais? After 4. Someone has said, I think the Rashba says, after 4 hours, according to the Rashba, it's not Zman Tefillah B'chlal. That's not Zman Tefillah. In other words, from 10 till 12, no one can daven. That's not Zman Tefillah. The gates aren't open then. There's no time to daven. You can't daven at all. The other shita, the Chilfita Chachamim, you could daven to chatzais, and you can even daven afterwards, just you don't get schaf tefillah. The Rashi won't say according to Reb Yehuda, it could be you don't get schar b'chal for daven. You can't daven b'chal. It's a bracha levatolek daven after 10 a.m. because there's no what's it called. That's not a zman tefillah. Others say no. Just like if you could do tashlumin at 1, so you can do tashlumin at 11. 1's no better than 11. If you can do tashlumin at 3 in the afternoon for shachris, so just daven shachris 12 a.m. That's how shtukel machalekes over here. Ibailu, the Gemara asks, Toiv v'lo yispalal mincha mau. Guy made a mistake. He didn't daven mincha. What's the din? Mashi spalal v'shtayim. Should he daven ma'ariv twice? Should he do ma'ariv twice? If you're going to tell me Tov v'lo yispalal v'is mispal shachris shtayim, if you're going to tell me that guy that didn't daven ma'ariv, he daven shachris twice, why mishum dechad yomu? It's all one day. How do you know it's one day? The day follows the night. It's first day, then night. But here, tefillah is instead of bringing a carbon. Once you blew the day, once mincha's over, if you didn't have a mincha, can you have a ma'ariv? The day's ended. The day's gone. Now it's ready. Night is the new day. You can't bring a carbon anymore. Dilma, given the Slaisi Rachmihi, since prayer is just Rachmanis, it's compassion, whenever you want to pray, you can, it's all good. So do we say it's like a carbon and you blew it, you missed the day, or do we say no, it's full of Rachmanis, so you can always daven? Tashma daven Rafuna by Yehuda Bar Yitzchak Revechanan, Tavalei Spal Mincha Spal Aveshtayim. If you didn't have a mincha, you daven ma'ariv twice. We don't say the day's gone, you blew the carbon, you missed your carbon. Okay. Meisivei, Ma'as lo yuchol esaken, v'chisar nochal limonos. It's a pasuk that there's no way to repair or you can't fix this. What are we talking about? Ma'as lo yuchol esaken. There's no repairing Zesha B'tel Kriya Shema Shalarvis. If you didn't say Kriya Shema at night, you blew it. The Kriya Shema Shachris. You didn't say Kriya Shema Shachris, or Tfilah Shalarvis, or Tfilah Shachris. There's no reparations. V'chesar lo yechol limonais. What does it mean? V'chesar lo yechol limonais. Zeh shenim lechaver ledavar mitzvah lo nimna mehem. Your friends go ahead and do a mitzvah, and you say, I'm not getting involved. Amar Reb Yitzchak, Amar Reb Yechanan, Hachwa Eskinan, Shebitel b'mezid. When is that? So that the implication of that brisa is that you can't do tashlumin. You miss shachris, you miss shachris. You can't repair it. You miss ma'ariv, you miss ma'ariv. So Amar Reb Yechanan, Hachwa Eskinan, Shebitel b'mezid. If you skip ma'ariv b'mezid, you go to a party with your friends, you don't daven ma'ariv, then you blew it. You can't daven shachris twice. Amar Vashi, that economic tani bittul, like tani ta. If you move vatalit, then you cancel the b'mezid. You can't fix it. But if it wasn't b'mezid, you can always fix it. Interestingly, the Paiskim say, halacha l'maisa mishnah bura, if you didn't daven shachris, and now you didn't daven ma'ariv, you want to daven shachris twice. So what you can do is, listen to the Chazal Shas, b'di'evid. It's better to say itself word for word, the whole Shemana Esra, but b'di'evid, you could daven shachris with the Chazal Shas, just by answering amen to the Shlech Tzibur, Yetza, his Chazal Shas. And the tefillah, you're ma'ariv, you listen to Chazal Shas, say amen, Mishnah says, b'di'evid, Yetza. Better to daven the whole thing again, you can't be bothered, you're too tired, you know you're not going to have kavanah, but Yetza with the Shlech Tzibur. Why? Just like with Yalav Yovai on Rosh Chodesh, if you haven't got time, for whatever reason you can't daven again, you could be Yetza Chazal Shas to be Yetza. Others say no, Chazal Shas is only if you're not married, you can't daven. Only then you Yetza with Chazal Shas. But if you couldn't daven yourself, you got to daven yourself. The Mishnah Berurah says you could be with the Eved, you could be Yetza Mechane, davening with the shots. I heard some people say you shouldn't say Baruch Baruch Shemais, maybe a hefsek. Just say Amens without the Baruch Baruch Shemais. Okay, I just want to take a quick look in Taisus. I know we're running very late, but Taisus Tavilay Spal Avis Spal Shachris Time. If you didn't daven ma'ariv, you should do Shachris twice. Says Taisus in Taima. Why should you daven Shachris twice? We know, everyone knows this. Rav says, are we passing like Rav? Tfilis Avis Rishus. You know, Mechuyev to daven ma'ariv. There's no chiv to daven ma'ariv. So why should I daven Shachris twice? Ma'ariv is Rishus. So Taisus answers a massive chiddush. Taisa says, skip like a few lines. V'yesh leimar, hodam in tfilas arvis rishus, hayni legabe mitzvah ches v'hiyaveres. When do we say arvis is a rishus? That's if you have another mitzvah veres in front of you. You don't have to do that. You don't have to have a ma'ariv. You got to shake lulav. You got to sit in the sukkah, do chesed. Ma'ariv is a rishus. Skip ma'ariv, do the chesed. It's a mitzvah veres. But if there's no mitzvah in front of you, so it's a chayva. And therefore, if you skip ma'ariv, you got to have shachris twice. Other Rishonim don't like it. They say, no. It's a rishus. Rishus means a rishus mamish. So why should you do tashlumin twice? It could be, some say, the tashlumin is a rishus also. If you want to do tashlumin, you can do tashlumin. You have a rishus to do tashlumin. You don't have to start being moisif. Others say, and this is the losh of the Rambam, basically the Bahag says that if you makabel it, if you want to daven ma'ariv, it becomes a chayva. That's the losh of the Rambam. If you want to daven ma'ariv, now it's a chayva to you. So this guy wants to daven ma'ariv, he wants to daven shachris, so now it's like a chayva. And the Rambam says we will makabel ma'ariv as a chayva. And therefore there's tashlumin on it, like b'taras chayva. You have to tashlumin once you makabel it. Okay, we'll end over here. Have a wonderful day. Shkoyach.